Hello my lovelies and welcome to Eargazms, an audiobook review show where we delve into the world of contemporary and indie romance, books that make you go Please be aware that all the books I review contain adult content, so you have been warned. My synopsis this week is really brief, as I didn't want to ruin the integrity of the author's storytelling or give away too much. With that said, here we go. All roads lead here by Mariana Zapata. When we meet 33-year-old Aurora de la Torre, she has been dragged through the most horrendous of emotional ringers, and she is done. Ending a relationship with a man she thought she'd marry, she leaves their Nashville home, going on a wherever the wind may take me road trip. Months into her magical mystery tour, we find her crying her eyes out in a hotel room in Moab, Utah. Loneliness and realization that she didn't have a clue what to do with the rest of her life, fear creeps in, and that's when Pagosa Springs, Colorado calls to her. Although 20 years ago a horrific incident occurred there, it was still the only place she'd ever truly considered home, and also the last place she'd seen her mother. Trying to book accommodation at the beginning of summertime and tourist season in one of the most beautiful places in the US is a fool's errand. The accommodation deities must have been looking down on her, as a perfect garage apartment comes on the market. As fast as a whippet on Wednesday at Walthamstow, she is out of the gate and pips everyone to the post. Being the setting that led to one of Aurora's worst memories for the last 20 years, will Pagosa Springs be the road to ruin? Or will a hot, badly tempered landlord and his lovable teenage son be her rocky roads to salvation? Dual narration by Kelly Dalton and Gomez Pugh. I've heard Gomez Pugh on previous Mariana audios, and although he is competent, he is definitely outshadowed by the powerhouse that is Kelly Dalton. She is by far one of the best female narrators in romance, and she's one of my auto buys. Her silvery voice could narrate the history of toilet plungers and somehow make it interesting. She's genius when it comes to differentiation of the novel's cast of colourful characters, and I seriously don't know how she does it. And her skill is evident when she steps up to the challenge of channeling the dialogue from children and men. She's simply incredible. And of course, the extension of all this cheerleading is perhaps Mr. Pugh's role was actually redundant, and they should have just handed the whole entire text to Miss Dalton. To be honest, I've listened to previous books that were entirely narrated by her, and I've found them a far smoother ride. Some narrative partnerships can pass the baton with an easy elegance, but when this isn't the case, the effects can be quite jarring and consequently lift us, however briefly, out of the fictional universe the author has worked so diligently to conceive. Although Mr. Pugh has a rich baritone that's easy on the ears, at times it sounded flat. It just didn't seem as if he was comfortable at that range. Nuances were lost, leading at times to a dispassionate delivery, lacking in emotion. As this is a slow burn, the sex scenes are few, but oh so worth the wait. Trust me, by the time they get down and dirty, you will be gagging for it. Quality over quantity, I say. And this book did make my toes look as if they were trying to throw gang signs. Mariana is in my top 3 favourite authors of all time. We have the Sookie Stackhouse books, what will later become the award-winning HBO show True Blood, and Stephanie Meyer's Twilight series, also one of my favourites, to thank for this marvellous addition to romantic literature. Mariana is known as the queen of the slow burn. All her books are intelligently crafted, and she constructs a rich and wonderful world in which we are all privileged to experience. She adds layer upon layer. You are fully immersed, allowing us to know each and every character inside out. We know their likes, we know their dislikes. Believe me, many a heated debate has been had over her characters, as if they were real people. Trying to get between us is like trying to wrestle a rabid Varmarana for the last pork chop. It ain't pretty. My brother and I have even almost come to blows over it. Her books are uniquely a Mariana, and in that I mean some a sports-based romance, everyday people, bikers, porn stars, and everything in between. All are hilariously packed side to side with great one-liners, heartwarming and with a hint of cry porn sentiment just to finish you off. She can write a cantankerous character like no other, and she doesn't pick the run-of-the-mill tropes either. Another aspect I love about her writing is she gives us a brief description of the characters at some point. Race, social standing, etc. They become secondary, leading us to effortlessly lose ourselves in the story, and she does this beautifully. I've read some books where I'm like, all right already with the alabaster skin. Okay, I get it. I'm guessing some readers like me transform into the characters whilst reading, and being constantly reminded we do not share the same traits breaks the fourth wall. I have loved every single one of her books. Asking me to pick a favourite would be like asking a parent to pick a favourite child. I just won't do it. I love them all equally. All her books can be read as standalones, but if you read them in order, you will have a richer experience, as some of our friends from previous books pop in for a cuppa now and then. Plus, it's fun piecing together the jigsaw puzzle that is the MZ universe. And finally, I cannot speak about Mariana without mentioning her mum, who's a superstar in her own right. Her mum is awesome. Sometimes she accompanies Mariana to book signings. The long wait is worth it. There's nothing quite like a Mama Zapata hug. Running time is 16 hours and 29 minutes. With Mariana, you get your money's worth. I did this in one sitting. Who needs sleep? Here are my ratings, 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. I scored the narration a 4 out of 5, as I found a few things problematic, as I've previously mentioned. And when it comes to a bit of As Your Father, absence most definitely makes more than the heart grow fonder. I give it a 4. Overall rating for this book is 4.5. I knocked off half a point, as I do not think Mr. Pugh was needed. Otherwise, this would have most definitely been a 5-star rating. And that's it for this edition of Eargazms. Links for the book can be found below. If you have read it or listened to it, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let's start a conversation. Please like, comment and subscribe to help more people find me.